In today's budget, I'm joined by Peter Chambade, partner in tax and regulatory services at KPMG, a leading financial audit, tax and advisory firm. Mr. Chambade, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Ahead of the budget, there's so many anticipations and people are looking forward and so many questions are being asked, but thank you for coming here to help us break down some of these. So the first one we're going to delve in, and I was asking, now this, the budget is relying heavily on domestic revenue. Don't you think this is a bit heavy on Uganda's economy that is already facing a huge tax burden?
Okay, when you look at the global geopolitics, there is more inward looking now and less funding from outside. And thus the need to look inwards to see how much revenue can be generated. And that's why we are seeing an increment of 5 trillion from last year from 32 to 37 trillion expected from domestic revenue, which will be about 45% of the budget. And also, we need to note that when you look at sub-Saharan Africa, revenue to GDP or tax to GDP for Uganda currently is 13.9. And when you compare for sub-Saharan Africa, it's 16. So if we are to continue to fund our priorities, then there is need for more domestic revenue generation. Now the question would be, how do we prioritize and use it properly?
Okay, that's very important to note. But also the other question that is raising at least some more alarm is that the government plans to replace TINs with national IDs. And we're looking at most of the people that start up small businesses. They rely heavily on the IDs, opening up different accounts. So I want to ask, don't you think this will affect the startups that are currently being, especially the youth, currently being engaged into them?
Good. When you look at the current proposals, which have been sent to the president for assent, one, they are bringing that provision for purposes of making sure that national IDs are the ones used as TINs. For purposes of expanding the tax base. As I noted in the beginning, our tax to GDP is 13.9%. vis-a-vis 16. So government is looking at expansion of the tax base. But to take care of the young people, because Uganda is a highly entrepreneurial country, and it has also been noted that despite the fact it's highly entrepreneurial, the businesses die in the first or second year.
Yeah, they don't
Many
make
of
it
them.
to their birthday.
They don't. So this year round, they have put a proposal of a 3-year tax holiday for startup businesses with capital of not more than 500 million. So I see that as a positive, so that now those people who are starting those small businesses, at least for 3 years, despite the fact that they will be known by the tax authority, but they have a 3-year tax holiday, which probably would help them to ground their businesses.
Okay, now all these businesses, corruption put aside, I want to ask, at least we've seen reports talking about corruption taking to like 10 trillion yearly. So help us understand, what are the practical measures you think can be taken to tackle this? Because even then, if these startups are given a tax holiday and then there are these advancements coming in to support the starting businesses, but we are having corruption taking 10 trillion annually. What do you think can be done to curb down this, finally?
Of course, corruption is a big issue, and definitely it will keep derailing the efforts that are being made. And I think what is being done by government is digitization. We have seen a lot of this digitization happening within the tax authority. And that reduces human intervention, because most of the corruption is actually abated by humans. So with increased digitization and availability of tools to analyze data, I believe the level of corruption, one, is going to go down. And then also at Ministry of Finance level, there's more digitization happening, so which hopefully is going to help reduce. And then also given that there's more reliance and less revenue coming in from donors,
Okay.
people will still need to ensure that the money which is there is actually delivering, which I believe probably would reduce the levels of corruption.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Kyambadde, for joining us today.